Mixed martial artist Cat Zingano is one of the top female fighters in the world. Here she is with Miesha Tate at the Ultimate Fighter 17 finale in 2013 after knocking out her opponent in round 3. Cat is one of the first women to break into this male-dominated sport, making history as the first woman to win an Ultimate Fighting Championship match by TKO and the first mother to compete in the UFC. Now signed with Bellator Mixed Martial Arts, the 39-year-old warrior, whose real name is Kathy Lee, is still defeating competitors half her age. I caught up with Cat training at a gym in Point Loma. Currently 2-0, her next matchup is set for June 24th against Pam Sorensen. She took time out of her training session to give me some pointers.
Pull back.
Ow! And she tells me combat sports have been part of her life since high school, when she was the only girl on the wrestling team. She kept at it through college, then excelled at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, winning world championships in LA and Rio de Janeiro. She went on to marry black belt Mauricio Zingano, who helped her train as she started her MMA career, and who is also the father of her son Braden, who she calls her North Star. Mauricio committed suicide in 2014, and for Cat, coming back from this tragedy has been one of the biggest fights of her life.
You have said that I don't know a single fighter who hasn't dealt with pain. You've dealt with a lot of pain in your life. Tell us about how that has fortified you and helped you and strengthened you as a fighter.
I feel like fighting has been something for me to do about my pain. Like, it's been an outlet, it's been a coping skill, it's been an art, you know, it's something that I can own and do creatively and completely shut my mind off, because if you're not completely present with what you're doing here, that's where mistakes are made, and that's where, you know, you can get hurt, or you can lose, or you can have, you know, a bad day, or you miss the point or whatever. And you know, the rest of the time, the rest of the day is then easier to process and easier to move through, because I have all of these endorphins out, and I got to sweat, and I got to do something physical, and that outlet in itself has been huge my whole life, but even more so after things got even more difficult.
And you, as a single mother, losing your husband, your best friend, your coach, trainer, to suicide, and Braden not having a dad, and you moving on and going on and continuing to succeed. How did you survive all of that?
A lot of fake it till you make it, I guess, you know, talking to the right people that knew me, but at the same time wanting to again show my kid, like, we have to keep going, you know, we have to keep stepping forward. And I think probably because that felt like the opposite of this seed he was planted in his brain by his dad committing suicide. You know, he deserves to see the other side of when things get tough like that.
Adversity is nothing new to Cat. She credits her early wrestling experience with helping her develop physical and mental stamina.
It was tough. Like, there was times I would get hurt, and I could get hurt just like, you know, the boy next to me could get hurt, but because I was a girl, it's like, oh, see, girls are fragile, and it's like, but he broke his jaw just like I broke my jaw. I don't see why it makes me fragile and it makes him tough.
Give me a laundry list of all the injuries that you have suffered over the years.
Fingers, toes, knees.
Broken?
I've had a couple knee surgeries. I've broken fingers.
Concussions or anything like that?
I've had one pretty significant concussion, as I stutter. Anyway.
Cat says strategizing before going into the cage is impossible to do because so much of fighting is a mind game.
You have no idea if that's how you're going to appear that day. You don't know. You don't know if you're going to be scared. You don't know if you're going to be really confident. Sometimes you even go in cocky. You don't know what your mind's doing from the minute you leave the locker room to the minute you enter the cage. Like, it's never been the same any time for me.
What do you think about when you walk in the cage and it closes?
A lot of times just protecting my son, and protecting what we have, and knowing that a win affords us and gets us more things, where a loss not only, it literally cuts everything in half, but those hurt to recover from, and those make you doubt and question, and now you have to reassess your work, and now you have to go back to the drawing board on some things, and so it's always important to leave it all out there and walk away with no regrets. Like you can still fail, but as long as you did everything you were supposed to do, like it's okay if the person's a better fighter than you that day, but if you show up and you do everything you can, you don't really lose.
Cat says she didn't have the same physical strength fighting the boys or men, but she used her flexibility and mental strength to outsmart them.
When I saw wrestling, it was so fair. Like it's you versus another person, what they know versus what you know, your will versus their will. And there are some advantages being a girl in there, especially against boys. Like I, being a girl who only goes against boys, I understand how they move every time. Like they have the same center of gravity, essentially, depending on how they're built, but they have this strength that they're going to have a little bit more than me. They have this intensity that is relatively predictable. Me as a girl, I'm going to be the first time they had to go against someone like me. So my flexibility is an advantage. My center of gravity is an advantage. My tricks, my things I can get them to do because they haven't figured out what to do with me yet. Like those ended up being these hacks into how I could go out and learn how to win matches.
But when you're fighting another woman, you're both it's a little more,
that was
each other's tricks.
I do remember the first time I lost to a girl being like, wow, you know what I know.
And what is it? What is it that you know?
Just understanding your body, understanding your strengths, and like loving it and being excited about it, and then building on those.
At the beginning of her career, women were not embraced as mixed martial artists.
It was kind of all of us girls against the world at that point, because everyone said they didn't want to see women in the UFC. Dana White said women will never be in the UFC. At that point, I had headlined as the main event in a bunch of different shows, but and people loved it. People screamed. People were on their feet for the girl fights, and it was like, never?
So breaking that glass ceiling by allowing women like yourself to fight in UFC was a huge milestone.
It was, and that first fight, there was a lot of pressure because it was like, they're saying never, they're saying they don't want this, blah, blah, blah. Like, we need to show them. Like, we have to earn it. The same thing as me in the wrestling room when I was a kid.
Right. Fast forward, a lot of people say that it is way more fun watching women in the cage than men.
Yeah, I think the girl fights are always very interesting. There's something primitive about it. There's something about the heart and drive in there. There's something to prove at all times, and everyone leaves it out there. I feel like, the girl fights are always very intense, and you can always expect that.
Do you feel that women in your profession now are taken seriously, more seriously than they were years ago? Are things getting better for women fighters?
Absolutely. I mean, even the comments people make, I feel like people forget so easily that at one point they're like, no, we don't want to see them. We don't want to see them. And now you get these messages like, when are you fighting again? It's been 6 months. Why haven't we seen you? And it's like, well, I think you should look back on how you absolutely didn't want to see this and you were against it, and girls belong in the kitchen, but now we can do both. And that kind of thing is beautiful to see. And
there's been so much talk about, obviously, women in the professional basketball players, the women's soccer team not getting paid like the men in their sport. What's the situation?
It's that way too here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, women, which has been hard. I will say, if I have to give all my complaints on it, we don't get paid as much. We do get paid, the same fraction of a difference that all the other sports do.
And that's not all. Cat says women in the ring are still sexualized and treated differently than the men.
One of the things that has been a struggle is we've also had to do it being pretty and being feminine. And if you're not, then you get, categorized in these other ways that are not always nice. And that part is more expensive. That part is harder to pull off when you need to get sweaty, when you need your hair, like you don't care about how you look or your hair or you're this right now. You're just trying to go hard.
You are 39 years old. How long are you going to keep doing this?
that's the thing. This is being written right now. We're the first generation of women doing this, and there's women older than me yet that are out there still winning fights. I'm still winning fights. Still out here, besting girls that are very young and coming up in their peak and prime. So because this is this generation and it's being written right now. I don't know. I definitely feel great. I think age is kind of funny at this point because I'm told I'm supposed to feel bad at this point. I'm told I'm supposed to feel weathered and tired and not want to do anything, and I don't. I feel great, and it feels like something I have to defend a lot, but at the same time I'm like, but you could too. Like if you found the thing that you love and you didn't listen to everybody telling you you're supposed to be bad right now or feel bad or be tired, you'd be able to do what you want forever too.
Do you worry about your own health and the injuries that you've sustained over the years, the knee surgeries, the knocks in the head?
Yeah, but they so far have been things, I don't have wood to knock on, but so far they have been things that I have been able to outsmart. I fight very intelligently for me, for my style. I don't take a lot of damage. I think I've walked out of one fight with a serious injury, and the rest of the fights I've at worst had a couple black eyes and maybe a bruise here and there.
You have said, I am more predator than prey. Is that the mindset that you have to have in order to continue on and succeed in this profession?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels primal to say it, but it's once you get in there, it's kill or be killed. And a lot of times it's hard to say this about someone that you respect and that they're in there doing what you are and whatever, but you also know they're thinking that way about you. And only one of you gets your hand raised, and only one of you gets the bonus money, and only one of you gets to walk away feeling confident about how that just went. Like, to lose in this sport hurts so bad, and to win, there's no feeling like it.
And that hand raise, when the hand goes up, when they declare you the champion, what does that feel like?
It's amazing because these things are so incredibly hard. Like, what people see is the 15 to 25 minutes on the TV. They see that and they think that's it. But the camp leading up to that, that's 10 weeks of training 20 times a week, and on top of it you're cutting calories because none of us fight at our weight class. We all want to be as lean and as fast as possible, which means we have to do these crazy diets. So when you get your hand raised, it's just this crash of emotions and crash of like your commitments to it and everything that went into that. It's just so rewarding and so crazy because it took digging so deep just to even walk in there that night, let alone be the one that is the victor.
Well, I'm wishing you many, many victories in the years to come. Thanks so much for sharing your story.